Welcome to Court of Protection Briefs. This video is about the history of the Mental Capacity Act. Until 1959, people now the subject of proceedings in the Court of Protection were covered by the royal prerogative known as parens patriae. Not sure about the pronunciation on that. That established oversight of the Crown for people considered incompetent. It was first covered by statute in 1339. So the Mental Capacity Act is the latest version of a 700-year-old law made when Edward III was king. He had a hugely eventful 50-year reign and considered he could heal the sick simply by touching them. Nice trick. The 1959 law put the interests of people lacking capacity on a statutory footing, governed by written law passed by Parliament, but power and responsibility were mostly delegated to local authorities. And what was known as the Old Court of Protection only covered financial matters. Other events in 1959. Fidel Castro overthrew the Cuban dictatorship, Alaska became an American state, and a hovercraft crossed the Channel. The 1983 Mental Health Act restricted the powers of guardians of people with mental disabilities to essential matters, leaving an increasing gap. A direct line to the Court of Protection lies in the Lunacy Act of 1890, creating an Office of the Master of Lunacy. What a title. That became the Court of Protection in 1947, but was generally considered only to cover property or assets. By the 1980s, the lack of scope for care decisions was being felt. That opened caregivers to assault accusations or negligence, and there was no way of resolving disputes about care. The High Court stepped in to develop a role covering the gap, and that has continued in cases where adults do have capacity, but because they're vulnerable or another reason, need the state's protection. It's known as the inherent jurisdiction. The process of consultation and development for a new law began in 1989. Commissions and reports led to a mental incapacity bill containing two key principles behind the current legislation: mental capacity and best interests. Then delay, more reports, more proposals, until skipping forward to 2003, another mental incapacity bill. Parliamentary scrutiny turned that into the more positive sounding Mental Capacity Bill. Along with other changes, in 2004 and in 2005 it was passed into law, becoming the Mental Capacity Act. The law which formed the contemporary Court of Protection and governs its work. That's the Court of Protection Briefs video on the history of the Mental Capacity Act. Thanks for watching. Subscribe or look out for the next video in the series.